Hello and welcome all to this lecture. In this particular lecture, we are going to understand the linked list implementation of queue, okay, using C programming language. We have already seen what is a queue, how to implement the queue using arrays. Now we will see how to implement the queue using linked list, okay. So here I'm going to write a C program for the same, okay. So this is the C program which we can just see here in the screen, okay. So now first of all, I have written all the header files, okay. Then I have written the struct node definition. Now, what is this node? Node is actually it is a linked list representation. So to make a linked list, I should be having some nodes. Linked list is nothing but collection of nodes. So for every node, I'm using this particular user defined data type. So I'm declaring with the variable struct. In this node, I have two members, data and next. Data is of type integer, next is of type struct node, which is self-pointing to itself. Okay, so let's see this over here. In this linear queue, I have a node, okay, the struct node, which has two members, data and next. Okay, so we can see there are two members, data and next. Next, after that, we have struct queue definition. In this struct queue, we have two different members. The first is struct node front and rear. So front and rear both are pointer variables pointing to the structure struct queue. So here I have a queue structure which has two members, front and rear. Okay, both are holding the address of another node. Okay, because they are of type struct node. So they will hold address of some node. Okay, so we are clear with these two different structures which we are going to use in a queue. So initially I am writing struct queue. That means I am declaring a variable called small q, okay, which is of type struct queue. Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm declaring a variable q which is of type this struct queue. That means this queue has got the blocks, okay. Now here I will have two members, front and rear, okay. So initially I have just declared the variable q. I haven't done anything with this. Yeah. So this q is a global variable because it is not written inside a void main or integer main. So it is a global variable which can use in any functions. Okay. Now here I am declaring all the functions which I require for my program. So this is nothing but function declaration. Okay, so I'm going to use some functions. First is create queue function. Next is enqueue, that is insert into the queue. Then I'm going to use dequeue, that is delete from the queue. Then pick, that means read the first value from the queue. Just read, don't delete. And the last is display function, display my entire queue. Okay, so this way these are the 5 functions which I'm going to use. यहाँ पे मैं सिर्फ एक line में declare कर रही हूँ, मतलब I'm just telling my program that I am going to use some function which is जिसका नाम होगा create queue, which will take this particular thing as an input जो भी round brackets में लिखा है, and this particular thing जो start में आएगा that is nothing but the output of my function. Okay, so we are done with the function declaration. Now I'm writing my main function. Inside main function, I will use two integer variables, say val and option. Then I'm calling this create queue function. Create queue function I'm calling directly because in my program, I want to use this queue named small q. This small q is nothing but जो मैंने यहाँ पे declare किया है. Now when I'm calling this create queue function, okay, the queue has been created. How it is created? Let's see it now. So let's go to the create queue function. So this, after the main function gets over, here at line 66, your main function is over. Okay, your main function is over. We will just go and see how the create queue function works. So create queue function takes as an input your struct queue. जिस queue को हम लोग create करने वाले हैं, उसका parameter जो pass किया है, वो हम लोग लेंगे as an input. And I'm passing as output nothing. That's why I've written void over there. So now what I'm doing in this function, what I'm saying, q arrow rear, that is q dot rear is equal to null and q dot front is equal to null. मतलब q के front and rear में हम लोग null डाल रहे हैं because first time when I'm creating a queue, obviously it is going to be empty. So there is nothing in the front and rear. So I will say that it is null. That means I'm initializing my queue. So this queue variable which is holding a queue data structure, Okay, data type, I'm saying इसका front भी null होगा और rear भी null होगा. So I'm filling these values, I'm initializing this queue variable. Now after the queue function is done, now we will go and see, okay, the next is, we were there in the main function. Here we have got the create queue call in which we just created a queue with value null. Now what I'm doing is, I'm writing a do while loop. So do while loop we use normally when I have some instructions to be repeated again and again in a loop until a particular condition is not satisfied. Yeah. So here what I'm doing, every time I'm running the loop, I'm giving the options to the user, all the 5 options for which I have written my function, and I'm asking user enter your option. If the user enters the option, say I will take that value from 1 to 5 in a variable option. So option is of type integer, which we have declared here. Now I'm giving a switch case for this option, and whatever option user has given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, accordingly it will go to that particular case. Say for example, case 1 is insert. So I will ask user enter the value you want to insert. I will scan that value in variable val, and that val I will pass to the enqueue function. So enqueue function, as you can see here in the function declaration, enqueue function is taking as input 2 things. First of all, struct queue का नाम और एक integer value, और रिटर्न क्या करेगा, struct queue, मतलब सेम हमारे queue का नाम रिटर्न करने वाला है. So how I'm calling my enqueue function? Enqueue. The name of the queue is queue, small q. The val which I have taken from the user which I want to insert in the queue, and this returning your queue name. So I'm saving that in the variable queue. Okay, similarly case 2 if it is called, it will call dequeue function. Case 3 will call peak function. Whatever value we are reading, वो वैल्यू हम लोग वैल में सेव करेंगे और वो वैल्यू हम लोग डिस्प्ले करेंगे. ओके, -1 है, मतलब जब भी मेरे पास आई वांट टू रीड बट द क्यू इज एम्प्टी, सो इट विल गिव यू -1. इन दैट केस हम लोग डिस्प्ले नहीं करेंगे, अदरवाइज हम लोग वैल्यू डिस्प्ले करेंगे. Case 4 is when we call a display function. So these are all switch cases. After your switch case is over, हम लोगों का do while loop यहाँ पे over होता है. So here I write the condition while option जब तक 5 नहीं है. So जब तक user 5 मतलब exit नहीं डालता है, till that we will be in a do while loop. Once the do while loop is over, we return the main function, and here I close my main function. So now we will go and understand each of these functions in detail. ये हर एक function का हम लोगों ने declaration किया है. Now we will go and define each and every function and understand them. So create queue is a function which we have understood. Now next function we'll understand is enqueue function. So enqueue function is nothing but insert a new node in the queue. What it is taking as input, struct queue, integer val, and I want to return the queue name again. So very first what I'm doing is I'm declaring a node PTR. I'm allocating the size for PTR using malloc function, which will allocate the memory from RAM to this particular block. Okay, and then I'm filling the PTR.data. PTR के data में मैं val डाल रही हूँ, which is nothing but given by the user as an input. Okay, so here let's see this function. Now we are learning enqueue function, in which initially I'm taking a PTR variable. I'm allocating the size for it, that is malloc, and now I'm saying ptr.data is equal to val. So suppose val is 10, so I got 10 inserted in this PTR. Now what I'm checking is I want to insert this PTR to my queue, but I should check whether my queue is full, queue is having some values, or it is completely empty. So I'm checking this if condition. If queue.front is equal to null, okay, so अगर मेरे queue का front null है, then what will happen? That means my queue is empty, right? So when you say the queue.front is equal to null, you can say your queue is empty. Okay, so what I will do here, if your queue is empty, that means your queue front and rear both are null. So if this is null, your queue is empty. So the one which you want to add will be the first node. 10 is going to be the first and last node in your queue. So your queue front should point to this 10. So what I'm doing, queue.front is equal to PTR and queue.rear is equal to PTR. So queue.front is equal to PTR, means it will point to PTR, and queue.rear will also point to PTR. Why they are doing so? Because in my queue I have only one value. So front may be 10 hai or rear may be 10 hai. So I can say, okay, now this is a perfect queue if I have only one value. And after that what I'm doing is queue.front.next. That means queue के front में कौन है? PTR. उसका next. दैट मीन्स दिस पर्टिकुलर ब्लॉक जो अभी एम्प्टी है, इज इक्वल टू ये वैल्यू जाएगा नल. एंड ऑल्सो क्यू के रेयर का नेक्स्ट, हु इज इन क्यू का रेयर, क्यू का रेयर is pointing to PTR, उसका next again same value. So they both are saying about the same node PTR. So उसका null अभी null next अभी null बनाओ. Okay, so what we will do here, this particular line will get this particular thing done. So now this is filled with the null. So I can say Q का front is saying 10 is the first node, and after 10 null, that means it is the last node in my queue. Okay, so with this we have done the if case. If case only executes whenever your queue is totally empty. Okay, लेकिन मेरा queue empty नहीं है, queue has some values in it. Say for example we have already 10 in it. Now I want to add a new member. So how will I do that? Okay, so that case I will go to the else case. Now let's come here. Now say for example I want to add a new node. So मैंने पहले PTR लिया, PTR is equal to new malloc किया, I got the box available. फिर PTR dot data is equal to val किया, which gets me 20. Now I am coming to if condition, but if condition is not satisfied, so I come to else condition when I have some values in my queue. Now what will I do? Then I will say q dot rare dot next is equal to PTR. Now first of all let's understand q dot rare dot next मतलब क्या? Q is this, Q dot rare is this, and rare matlab is pointing to PTR. This 10, and 10 का next is this particular block. So now what is saying, this particular block should equal to PTR. मतलब PTR किसका एड्रेस होल्ड कर रहा है, 20 का. So ये भी 20 का एड्रेस होल्ड करेगा. That means this particular link will come. Okay, so now 10 will point to 20. So with this line we got this arrow, Q dot rare dot next is equal to PTR. So we got this line. Now next is Q dot rare is equal to PTR. अभी rare में 10 है कि 20 है, 20 है. So rare should not point to 10, rare should point to 20. So Q dot rare is equal to PTR. So Q dot rare is equal to PTR will do this particular line. Okay. Now what next? Q dot rare dot next is equal to null. So नया Q का rare कौन है? Q dot rare dot Q का rare मतलब 20 और उसका next मतलब ये block. So ये next अभी null बनाओ. Okay. So I will make it null. Now I can say my Q is ready because Q का front is going to 10, 10 के बाद 20 और वहाँ पे null है, and Q का rare भी 20 को point कर रहा है. That means I say my Q is now done with the enqueue operation. Okay, so here we are done with the enqueue operation. Else loop condition is over. I am returning the queue, the start of my queue, okay, the front and rear pointers, and I am closing my function. So here we are done with this enqueue function, that is insert a new node in a queue. Hope you have understood. If any queries, you can ask me in the comment box below. Now we will understand the next function, that is dequeue. dequeue is nothing but delete an element from the queue. As you all know, queue से हम लोग कौन से एंड से डिलीट कर सकते हैं? सिर्फ फ्रंट एंड से डिलीट कर सकते हैं. ओके, और ऐड सिर्फ रेयर एंड में कर सकते हैं. सो अभी मुझे फ्रंट एंड से एक नोड डिलीट करना है. बट बिफोर आई डिलीट समथिंग फ्रॉम माई क्यू, आई शुड फर्स्ट चेक वेदर माई क्यू इज एम्प्टी. अगर एम्प्टी है देन डिलीशन इज नॉट पॉसिबल एंड वी विल गिव अ मैसेज सेइंग अंडरफ्लो. Okay, so now let's see here. I want to perform dequeue. So say for example, if there is some queue like this, here front is pointing to 10, rear is pointing to 30, then I can delete the first node, that is 10. But before we do that, how we will go ahead with the function? I will first take a node saying struct node PTR. Then I'll say PTR is equal to Q dot front. तो Q का front में कौन है? 10. So PTR भी 10 को point करेगा. बराबर है. I got my PTR pointing to the first node. Now I will check if it is empty or not. So if Q dot front is null, अगर मेरा Q का front null है, is your Q का front null? No, right now front is pointing to 10. That means front is holding address of 10. So front is not null. So here your if condition is false. अगर if condition true होता था, then I can say if my Q dot front is null, then I would have said it is underflow, you cannot delete anything, and we will directly come out of the function. But here my Q dot front is not null, so my if condition is false here. Okay, so what will I do in this case? My if condition is false. Okay, so I will come to the else condition. Now else condition says कि आपके queue में there are some values and we want to delete the first value. How we'll proceed with that? So Q dot front is equal to q dot front dot next. This line is really very important. Okay, q का front is equal to q dot front dot next. First understand what is this q dot front dot next. q is this, front is this. So q का front is pointing to 10. So q dot front का next मतलब 10 का next. Who is 10 का next? This particular block. Okay, let's say for example, this 20 is at location 3010. So 10 is pointing to 30. That means it is holding the address 3010. So when I say q dot front dot next, that means I'm talking about this 3010 value. ये 3010 value मुझे कहाँ पे कॉपी करना है? q dot front में. So q dot front मतलब कौन सा ब्लॉक? ये ब्लॉक. So ये पहले 10 का एड्रेस होल्ड कर रहा था, अभी मुझे उसमें 3010 डालना है. So when I put 3010 here, what happens is this front should start pointing to 3010, which is nothing but block 20. So that happens here. Front is now pointing to 20 because it is holding address 3010. I hope you understood this particular line. Now after this, if you can see properly in my queue, the queue ka front is pointing to 20 and rear is pointing to 30 and the queue is proper. सिर्फ 10 वहाँ पे है जो मेरे queue में नहीं है, but it is still there, so I should release this memory. How do I do that? First of all, I'll printf, I'll tell user that this value has been deleted. कौन सा वैल्यू डिलीट हो गया? जो ptr के डेटा में है. So ptr is holding 10. ptr.data will give you 10. So you say 10 is deleted. And then you free ptr. So when I say free ptr, what happens? This ptr is memory is deallocated and it is given back to RAM for another program to use it. Okay, so ये मैंने release कर लिया. Now I can say in my queue I have only 20 and 30. 20 को front point कर रहा है, 30 को rear point कर रहा है. Okay, so this is clear about the dequeue function. Here I am returning my queue and my function is over. Okay, so delete from the queue, dequeue function is done. Now we will see the next function, that is pick. Pick is really very easy and small function. What is pick actually does? It just reads the first value from your queue and does not do any insert or delete operations. Okay, so how do we go with this? So let's understand the pick operation. Suppose if I have this particular queue with me, so what I will do, मुझे queue दिया है जिसका नाम queue है, so I will check queue empty है क्या. अगर empty है, we cannot delete or we cannot display anything. So I'll check if queue dot front is null, then I say queue is empty and I will return -1 because मुझे यहाँ पे integer return करना है, तो मैं return -1 कर रही हूँ. जो queue empty रहेगा तो कुछ नहीं है करके. Okay, so what is the condition to check queue is empty? Queue dot front is equal to null. Let's see here, queue का front is pointing to 10. That means it is not null. लेकिन अगर queue का front मेरा null है, then there is a underflow and the queue is empty. So we will give a message queue is empty. अगर मेरा if condition false होता है, I go to else case. That means my queue has some values and I can display the first value to the user. So how will I display? I should display this 10. So how will I tell that? Return queue dot front dot data. Queue is this, front is this, pointing to the first node, और उसका डेटा मतलब 10. So q dot front dot data will display 10 to the user. So I'm returning this 10 in a integer value. Here this is all about the pick function. So here in this pick function we understood how can we display the first value or the value at front to the user. I'm not deleting, I'm not inserting anything. Okay, so we are done with the pick function. Now we will understand the display function. So this is the last function. What we are doing here, display function I'm taking as an input my queue and giving as an input the same queue. Actually I'm not changing my queue, I'm just reading all the values from the queue. Okay, again here we should first check whether my queue is empty or not. Yeah, so what I will do, first of all I'll take a ptr, struct node ptr. ptr is equal to q dot front, मतलब ptr first node को point करेगा. Now I will check if ptr is equal to null, ptr should be pointing to first node. अगर ptr null है मतलब q का front is null. So when you say ptr is null, then there is an underflow, q is empty, we cannot display anything. So if ptr is null, we'll give message q is empty. But if condition अगर false होता है, that means हम लोग else condition में जाएंगे and it says the queue is not empty. So when the queue is not empty, I should be displaying my items in the queue. So how I'm displaying this? I'm coming to else part. Okay, now what I'm doing is printf, okay, while ptr dot is not equal to q dot rare. जब तक आपका ptr ये q का rare नहीं है. Now what is q का rare? Now let us understand this properly. Okay. Say for example ये q का rare मतलब 30. ये अगर लोकेशन नंबर 2101 पे है, 30 is at location 2101 and rare is pointing to 30. मतलब क्योंकि rare में मेरे पास एड्रेस क्या डाला है 2101. So जब तक your ptr is not equal to q dot rare, that means जब तक मेरा ptr is not equal to 2101, okay, till that I will be in the condition, I will be in the while loop. So now ptr, what is ptr? ptr is pointing to 10. So 10 का address may be some 2000 है. Yes. So currently ptr is 2000. That means there is no issue and it is not equal to 2101. So my while condition is now true. So while condition true hai. In this case, what we will do, we'll go inside the while loop and we'll print ptr.data. So I'm printing ptr.data. Okay. And what I will do, go ptr is equal to ptr.next. So ptr will go to the next one. Okay. So now my ptr should go to the next. That means it is going to 20. Okay. So after while is true, we'll display 10 and we'll go to next node, that is 20. Again it will check whether this while loop में, I'll check this condition, while ptr is not equal to q dot rare. Okay, so अभी ptr का value क्या है, pointing to 20. So ptr का value is a address of 20, not address of 30, right? So now again my while condition is true and I will go inside the while loop and I will display the data and I will go to the next ptr. So what I will do here, I will display the data 20 and ptr will be ptr.next. Okay, so I'm going to 30 now. Again I'm checking the while loop. So while ptr is not equal to q dot rare. So here the q dot rare is 2101. Okay, and ptr is also pointing to the same node. So ptr का value भी 2101 है और आपका rare का value भी 2101 है. That means here your while loop is satisfied. Okay, that means we are coming out of the while loop. So I'm coming out of the while loop and what I'm doing over here is I'm reaching line number 139. So if you see here, अभी तक मैंने सिर्फ 10 और 20 को ही डिस्प्ले किया था और मैं while loop के बाहर आ गई, but I should be displaying the last node value. So to do that, I handle that outside my while loop. So here in this last line 139, we will display the last node in my queue. Okay, so what is the last node? So printf ptr.data. Currently ptr is at last node when it comes out of the while loop. So when I just give this command printf ptr.data, so it will display value 30 now. Okay, that is after coming out of the while loop. Okay, hope you have understood this. बिकॉज वाइल लूप हम लोग तभी ब्रेक करते हैं जब भी पीटीआर लास्ट नोड पे पहुंचता है, लेकिन हम लोग को लास्ट नोड पे डिस्प्ले करना था, इसलिए वाइल लूप के बाहर एक बार हम लोग पीटीआर डॉट डेटा को डिस्प्ले करेंगे, विच विल डिस्प्ले द लास्ट नोड, दैट इज 30 in our case. Okay, so after this we are done with the display function. So here we can see we are done and we will return the queue, that is the queue front and rear to the user, and we are done with the display function. So with this all the function definitions are over. So here we are done with this particular code. Okay, so okay, now let us run the program and check the output. For checking the output, I'm using another compiler. This is TurboC compiler. It is also a open source compiler. We can use it for the C programming language. Okay, so now let's just run a program and check the output. So I'm going to run my program. I can see all the options. I go to the option 1, that is insert. I insert the value 10 to the queue. Then again I want to insert. I insert 20. Then again I want to insert. I insert 30. Now I want to check my queue. So I'll just go to 4 and display. It is showing 10, 20, 30. So first one which I inserted was 10. So now if I delete, I should delete 20 first. Yeah. So I'll go to second option 20 and it is deleting 10 first. Yeah. That means it is doing it correctly. Now I go to option 4. It is showing only 20 and 30 are remaining in the list. If I go to pick, that is option 3, it should show me 20. Yeah. 20 is at the front. Now again if I delete with the option 2, it is deleting 20. After that, if I delete, it should delete 30. Now my queue is empty. So if I want to delete, it should show me underflow message. So now it is showing me underflow message. If I display, it is showing me queue is empty. Okay, so all the operations are working properly. Now I'll press 5 and exit the function. Okay, so with this we are done with it. So hope you have understood the program and also the working of the program. So now let us revise that what we have understood in this particular today's video. That is, we have understood what is a queue, the different operations of queue, and how we can perform those operations using linked list. That is enqueue, dequeue, peek, and display. So these are the different operations which we have learned in today's video. So thank you for watching everyone. Okay, and please do subscribe to the channel for more videos in the same subject, data structures and algorithms. Thank you very much.